Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales. Today we're flying north, way north, to Lapland, Finland, where there are reindeers. And you're not going to believe this, but we are going to be meeting Santa in his hometown. Quick note for grown-ups, this will be a magical family-friendly episode. So if you've got little listeners, we promise this will be a fun one to enjoy together. Our guest today packed up her family and flew to the snowy north in December to see reindeer, go dog sledding, and yes, meet Santa in his very own winter wonderland. So without further ado, welcome to Trip Tales, Amy.
Thank you very much.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you, so tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
Okay, I am originally from outside of Boston, Massachusetts, about an hour north in a very small coastal town in Maine. We currently live in a suburb outside of Cleveland, Ohio. My husband, myself, our two children. We have a daughter who's 11 and a son who's 7, and our German Shepherd, who we named London, who's 3 years old. And I'm a stay at
Oh,
home mom. I'm an RN, licensed RN, but I currently take care of our children full time.
awesome. Hardest job in the world.
Yes.
What town in Maine did you live in?
York. So I actually heard your episode about Ogunquit, and I could walk to Ogunquit from my hometown. So it was fun to listen to.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we lived in Newburyport for 4 years. So all those little towns are so fun and so cute, but quite cold
Yes.
in the winter
Yes.
and a lot
Yes.
of nor'easters to navigate. But
Yes.
other than that, it's a cool part of the country.
Yes.
So you and your family went to Finland in
Yes.
December 2023. I need to know what sparked this trip idea.
So we actually lived in the United Kingdom for 6 years, and we were there for almost 3 the first time. And we tried to go then, but my husband's company, who he worked for, decided it was time for us to come home. So we missed our chance. And then we moved home, and my son was born, and we got the another opportunity to go back. And this time we were there for 4 years. And once my little guy was old enough, we were like, this is a trip that we cannot miss. And because we live in the UK, we have to go. And then unfortunately, COVID hit, and then we had to cancel that trip as well. Then we decided we would move home. From the UK, came back to America, and we decided we're doing this once and for all. We decided that we would just pack up. So this was a bit of a longer journey than we had originally thought it would be when we planned this trip, but we decided that we still have to do it. It's still on our bucket list, so we made it work.
Okay, I'm going to show everyone where Lapland, Finland is in case people aren't aware. So here's just a picture of Europe, and Lapland is way north in Finland. So I've learned that Lapland is, you know, considered the hometown of Santa Claus. I
Yes.
didn't know that before you emailed me about this episode. So when you were living over in the UK, is this when you heard about the magical things happening in Finland? When did you hear that there are like Santa villages and stuff in Finland?
Yes. So a lot of expats, it's one of the biggest like tourist destinations when you're an expat. And so within the American expat community, right outside London, a lot of people go, and they have tours, like just kind of chartered tours that will bring you there. So it's a big trip for a lot of American expats living outside of London.
Okay, got it. I'm also going to share another picture. So, like you said at the time, you were living in Ohio and you had to get all the way to Finland. This trip would have been much easier, like you said, when you were living in the UK. I
Yes.
don't know why my Google Maps drew my line in such a dramatic arch, but I'm showing everybody, how far it was for you and your family to get to Finland. So, talk about just getting here. This feels kind of complicated.
Yes. So we actually broke it up. We did fly back to London, and we stayed in London for a few days just because we have friends that have become family. My children's old nanny lives there. And so my husband was working there at the time. So we went to London and we spent a few days there. He worked a few days, and we kind of caught up with some old friends. And then a few days later, we packed up and we actually flew from the airport Gatwick, which is right outside London. It's not the biggest airport. Heathrow is the biggest airport in that area. But but we took a plane from Gatwick, which was a chartered jet. So everybody on our airplane was going to the same destination in Finland. And we flew to Finland. So it wasn't too bad from the UK. It would have been a lot more on us to fly all the way from America.
What do you mean a charter jet so everyone was going to the same place?
Yes. So when you are on this charter jet, every single person is doing the exact same thing. So everyone's going to see Santa Claus on this one plane. So you're not landing and everyone's going off doing their own little thing. Like there's a bus waiting for everybody on this airplane to go. So you get off the plane and you see the same people throughout your entire trip. So they're on the bus with you, you're eating your meals with them, you're doing the activities with them. So it is a full chartered scheduled trip for you, which was good for us because it's very overwhelming and there's a lot of different areas of Lapland you can see and stuff like that. And we really wanted to see Santa, and we knew that this company would make sure we saw Santa Claus the best way. So that was why
So
we
this was almost like a tour that you joined and you went on this trip with. So what was that tour called?
So the tour is called Canterbury Travel, and they're based out of the United Kingdom. And
Okay.
so you would call them, and there's multiple different, like you, they can fly you for the day, they can fly you for 2 days, they can fly you for 4 days. So you pick which journey you want, and then when you go, everybody you're with is doing that exact same thing.
Okay, cool. So you picked
Yes.
a 3-day journey and you booked the
Yes.
whole thing as like a big whole package.
Yes. And so you go to the airport and you put your luggage on the plane the same way you normally do when you fly. And then you get on this plane and it is filled with children and their parents. And everyone's so excited because you're going to go see Santa Claus and they play games. All the
Oh my
lights on the airplane
gosh.
are red. So they take all the white lights out and it is like a flying party bus to go see Santa Claus. And they do, in England, they call toilet paper loo rolls. And so they start from the front of the plane and you do the loo roll challenge. And whatever side of the plane breaks the loo roll first loses. And it's games and party the entire flight to Finland. And they're getting you pumped up. And children are screaming. So it's a little bit like, oh my goodness, but it is so much fun. And the kids are just over the moon excited to land and see Santa Claus. So
Oh my
that was how
gosh.
we got to Finland. Yes.
It's like the Polar Express meets an airplane.
Yeah. Yes, it really is. Yeah.
That is so fun. Like I said at the beginning, I wasn't aware that Finland was the home of Santa Claus. So I asked ChatGPT about this a little bit. And here's what my trusty chat had to say. In Finland, the answer is yes, Santa Claus lives there. You can actually visit Santa Claus villages, meet elves, and see the post office that stamps letters with a Lapland postmark. Some people still say the North Pole, and that's fine. Big legends have room for more than one address. But if you ask in Finland, Santa's heart and workshop are in Lapland.
Yes, absolutely. It could not be more true.
I should have asked this at the beginning, but how did you pack for this trip? Because I feel like you needed to pack the warmest of warm clothing because I've seen your photos and it looks very snowy and very chilly.
Yes, and in December up that far up north, you never really get sunlight either. So it's dark most of the day, very, very cold. I mean, you're out for 2 minutes and it's like your fingertips feel like they're gonna fall off.
Yeah.
So you have to have layers, layers and layers. So, like leggings and then fleece pants and then like a pair of sweatpants over that. And then you would do that every day. So you would make sure you would have multiple layers for your clothing. And for the most part, it's freezing, but you're outside walking around a lot. So sometimes you do get a little sweaty because you're pulling sleds up at mountains and stuff like that. But, and then when you land, they give you a full piece snowsuit and they give you boots. So you don't have
Oh,
to put that in your luggage, which is a big space saver. But you pack like, those hand warmers and boot warmers. We packed the full face gear, hats, mittens, and all that kind of stuff. But the big bulky stuff was provided once you landed into Finland. So at least that was some space that you didn't have to take up in your bag.
yes. I love it. I forgot to mention also that I'm wearing my Rudolph earrings
Do you
for
read
this
it that?
episode. It was really fun to put on Christmas earrings in October.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I'm sure you started chit chatting with other families, and throughout the trip, you got to know a lot of people. Where were a lot of these people from that were on this tour
England.
with you?
Yeah, most of them are from the UK.
Okay.
Expats, we didn't really run into a lot of expats on our trip, but there was a lot of local Brits there, which was so fun. In England, they call Santa Claus Father Christmas, and my kids had gotten to call him that after living there for so long. So we kind of feel like we are at home in the UK in a lot of ways. So we just felt like we were going with everybody that we lived nearby, you know?
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm already loving this so much. So your fun plane full of toilet paper and screaming children
Yes.
lands in
Yes.
Finland, and
Yes.
then tell us about getting to your destination. Is it a long drive? There are they loading the luggage for you? Like what's the next step?
So you get your luggage off the carousel in this tiny, tiny little airport in
Like what
Finland.
town are you in? Do you even know?
The airport was called Kuusamo. I think it's Kuusomo, something
Okay.
like that. And then you bring your luggage out to the bus, and they have these coach buses just lined up, ready to go. The engines are on, so they're nice and warm. And are assigned a bus. So when you get there, you know what bus you're supposed to be on. They're very clearly marked A, B, C, D.
How many people
Um,
are on this tour?
a full plane's worth. So there were 3 seats aisle, 3 seats, a regular sized plane. So there was a
Wow.
decent amount of people. Yeah.
Okay,
And
wow.
then, so you get on your bus and then you drive. It's dark already and it's only like 3 in the afternoon, but it's like pitch black. And so you land and they drive you probably 20 minutes to this building. And it looks like a American ski lodge, like if you were to go to a ski mountain or something like that. And I sent you some pictures, and one said like Ruka Pizzeria, and it was in
Mhm.
the same parking lot as that restaurant. And it was the only two things for miles and miles and miles. I mean, you did not see a building forever. You would see little houses behind pine trees and with lights on. And I feel like everyone has Christmas lights all year round. You would just see a random house here, a random house there, but really you're in the middle of nowhere, almost at the Russian border, actually. We stop here, and to the right of that building was the ski lodge. And so they let a couple rows of the bus out at a time, and you would go in there, and the staff inside this building would fit you and your children for snowsuits. So that was where you get your snow gear. And you would change right there because the fun was about to begin. They waste no time. So you're getting your stuff on, and their staff's like getting your kids dressed, and you're like, oh my goodness, thank you. Because I don't know about you guys, but like getting your little kids dressed in the ski gear is a workout and it's a lot of work. So they were doing that for you. You didn't even have to think about it or worrying about sizes. They were doing that all. So once you're dressed, your family gets back on the bus. Once the whole bus has done that, you start driving again, and it's probably another 20 minutes to our hotel destination. And the whole trip, you're going, 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 going. So it's not a relaxing, like, take your time kind of thing because everything's scheduled. So, and if you miss the bus, you miss the bus, and no one wanted to be doing that.
No.
So,
You don't wanna be
you
stuck in the middle of, Finland near the Russian border in the snow without
no,
your transportation.
yeah, no. So they drop you off, and when you're on that second half of that bus ride, they give you a piece of paper with your like unit number, and there was A, B, C, all the whole alphabet. And then the code to get you in your door. So instead of a key, it was a code. And basically the only guy that works there was the bus driver and the bus tour operator, speaker. And he was fun. He had songs and games. And so to back up, that first day on the bus, they started teaching you the song. And the goal was by the end of this tour, everybody had to know the song. Everybody had to know the hand motions and dance and bob their head to the song. And he would call out the parents if you weren't participating fully, and he would encourage the kids to call out their parents if their parents weren't, so it was a high pressure thing for you to learn this Christmas song.
Can you, like, share a tiny bit of it? What's the
Oh
song?
goodness. All I know is they bob their head up and down really hard. And I wish I had thought of that before we started filming because I probably could have given you the song to play. But it was about the different elves and Sneaky Sam and Snowy Bowie and all these names, all the elves that you meet along your journey their names are in this song.
So
And
fun.
so fun. But you get off this bus, it's freezing cold. You have to lug your luggage down this hill, and they're like, we'll see you tomorrow. And so you're just like, oh my goodness, where do I go? And for a while I panicked because I couldn't find building N, and we were building N. And the way the number was, it was like kind of behind a corner. And we finally found it after like a small panic that I thought I was going to be in the wilderness for the night. But we got it, and it's like a ski lodge, right? So there's an apartment styled building. So there's a living room, a kitchen, two bedrooms,
And are
and
you
then
guys
you're
in
up.
like your own single unit, almost like a
Yes.
little mini cabin thing?
It's
Okay.
a little single unit. There's one on top and one on the bottom. So
Okay.
families above us, we're below, and then like those buildings are all, so there's two in each building. And they have their own entrance. We had our own entrance. And it's just like a typical European type hut kind of thing where there's towel warmers and like in Europe they have all these like radiator type looking things where you hang wet clothes to dry or to warm up. And so you got in, you unpacked, and you got to sleep quickly because the next day you had to get up and get going, and there was a full day of activity lying ahead.
And because the time change is like 6 or 7 hours or something?
So from England, it was only, I can't remember, maybe one or two, but yes, from America, it would be quite a difference. So you
Yeah.
would be pretty exhausted by the time you went. And I don't think I would recommend flying from America. I think I would recommend making a stop in Europe somewhere and just, even if you go to like Munich and see some Christmas markets or something first, it would just, to break up the difference would be, I think, the best way to do it.
Okay.
So.
Now, did you eat dinner at that pizzeria or how are you getting food? I feel like you just like get into this cottage and you're like, we're on our own. We're gotta survive.
You kind of are. It felt like that. You're supposed to unpack, and then the bus picks you back up, and then so you all get back on the bus and you go to that hotel. They have a restaurant inside there, so they bring you all to that restaurant, and you sit down, and it's every meal on this trip was kind of like a fancy buffet style, but it was perfect because the kids are running around, nobody cares. It is the most family friendly go nuts kind of holiday ever. And you have an assigned seat, which makes it easy. Um, and so you just go and you get your food, and they give you probably about 2 hours. And then you get back on the bus and you go back to your apartment for the sleep that you're going to need so much because the next day is just full of nonstop activity.
Okay. And we should tell people that this area you're in, is it Ruka, Ruka?
Ruka,
Ruka?
I think, is
Ruka.
how they pronounce it.
So
Yes.
Ruka Valley is a ski area. And so
Yes.
there's some ski slopes, there's this
Yes.
ski lodge and hotel right here. And then it sounds
Yes.
like you were in your own individual units that weren't walkable to this, though you had to get on a
Well,
bus. Okay.
yes, for sure. Yeah. Not only dark and temperature, but distance as well. So this was one of the local places they just had catered out to just serve the food and stuff like that, so you weren't having to cook inside your apartment complex yourself, and you weren't able to explore on this type of a trip. If you went on your own, you could probably explore the town a bit more and stuff, but this trip, it was very planned for you, which took a lot of the stress of, are we doing this the right way, away from that. So they would bring you to these different hotels for your meals.
Okay. And those meals are all included at this point because you have
Yes.
paid for like a tour package.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yes. Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So you get your sleep
Yep.
in your cot. Was it like warm enough? This
Super warm. I
okay.
mean, they have a fireplace you can light. It is cozy, and it's bunk beds for the kids and a regular bed for you. And yeah, the radiators where you're putting your clothes, and they have a coffee maker, and they have a hot chocolate maker for the kids. And I mean, they've thought of every little detail. So it was really nice. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk about waking up on this first day. You've kind of already had a travel day, but now you're waking up and you are headed to do what on day one?
Yes. So you wake up, you have to put on your snow gear, all of it, and you pack for the day. Like, you are not coming back to this apartment until nighttime. So just whatever you need in your bag, you have to put it in your bag and make sure
Did you
you
bring
have
like a
it.
backpack or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yep. And so you put extra hand warmers in there, you put extra shoe warmers in there because you're going to be changing those things out frequently throughout the day. And your kids are going to get wet throughout the day. So I had extra mittens, I had extra gloves, and I had extra socks just in case for the kids to and an extra help mouthpiece because that you breathe and that gets wet and very
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So
Like
like we
those
would
like
change this.
gaiters, the things that can
Yes.
go over. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have all that in your bag, snacks just in case. You never know. You
Did
have
you
little
pack
kids.
snacks or did you buy them somewhere? I'm still
I,
concerned
I
about your food.
Yes, I brought the snacks from the UK because, the last thing you want is a very bulky yourself being very bulky and your child in bulky snow gear, you having to carry them because they're having a meltdown from a hunger,
Yeah, talk
whatever.
about sweating, but then
Yes.
it's like freezing on your face.
Yes, yes. And so you just whatever, you just fill your backpack full of, granola bars and fruit and whatever. Yeah, so the bus picks you up at a certain time. You have to be on that bus. So you're all waiting outside. The bus comes, they take you to the same type of a place for breakfast. You eat your breakfast, and then you have about 2 hours for that as well. And then you get on the bus for the activities. The very, very first activity we did, which I was super grateful for, was the Husky rides. So you pull up to the farm that Santa has for his huskies, and you go inside and you learn how to harness the husky on a stuffed animal husky. And they give you warm berry juice, which is a local Finnish delicacy. And it's warm and it's just delicious. And the kids love it. And then it's like you have hot chocolate and then you have the local berry juice. So it's like, you can have one or the other if you're not a big hot chocolate fan.
I
And it's kind of
appreciate that because sometimes I'm like not in the mood for hot chocolate. I know it's so fun and wintry, but I don't always want like chocolate. So having another
yes.
hot option is kind of nice.
So nice, and it was just the perfect sweetness. It wasn't too much and just, it was warm, so it was kinda like hot apple cider, but just berry tasting instead.
Nice.
So yeah, you get the chance to pet these and they had so many puppies and just, oh, these dogs are amazing, and they have so many of them, and you're on this property and you're playing and the elves are all there. So they've come from Santa's home to, like, hang out with you for the day, and it's two-person per sled. So my daughter, I think, was in the front of that sled and I was driving it, which is so intimidating because, yep, there was some of Santa's elves right there. I mean,
You
it's
guys, for
so
listeners, I'm
fun.
sharing. I'm just going to give you a visual. There's literally snow everywhere. You cannot see it's snow, most snow you've ever seen in your entire life. Really tall, like fir trees, pine trees, evergreen trees covered in snow where like it's weighing down the branches, like thick snow everywhere. And then these like super fun, silly elves that are dressed in like bright colors and silly hats. Like the elves live there and they are all around. The kids are in their snowsuits and the elves are just posing for pictures. And this is super fun. Do they come up and like say their names and everything?
Yes, and they're all so fun, like Snowy Bowie, Tricky Dicky. There was one that would try to steal your snacks. He was always hungry. I forget what his name was, but he would always, if you're eating a snack, he'd come up and take it from you. So you'd have to be really careful to
You're like,
like
wait,
have your
actually, please don't
yeah.
steal my kids' snacks.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness, he was so funny. And then they're like, okay, now you can drive the sled through the woods. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this, but they're like, it's fine. The dogs do 90% of the work. Just don't fall off. And you're like, okay, like this is crazy. And those dogs, they whip you around corners. They go very, very fast. There's a few commands they teach you, and I can't remember what their names are, but they know what to do. They know where to go. They know how fast to go. They know when to stop. I mean, but you have to balance because if not, you're tipping over. You're tipping over and you're in
Okay,
the
this is so
total
funny
deep.
you're talking about this because the last episode I just recorded that will be out around the same time as yours was about skiing at an all-inclusive Club Med in
Uh,
Quebec City, Canada called Club Med Charlevoix. And they
okay.
also went dog sledding like this. And they also did the thing where you drive it. And
Yeah.
I've been dog sledding before in Park City, Utah, but I was like a passenger princess with like
Yeah.
a kid on my lap, and professionals were doing the whole thing. And we were seeing all the beautiful scenery. And I was like, I didn't know they ran tours where you're driving. I would be like, I am not qualified for this.
No, it is like you feel super intimidated. I mean, it is crazy, but you made it. We all made it.
Yeah.
But they are so loud. They just bark and they bark, but they're loving it. Like this is their job. Those huskies, they love it. And there's so much barking and what sounds like whining, but they're just excited. I mean, the minute you let go of that rope, they're taken off and they know all like the hand commands and stuff like that. So it's that's what they love to do and they do it really well. So it is so fun.
Oh my gosh, so fun. So how like far or long are you on the dog sledding portion of this?
I think it was like 3 hours
Oh my
between like
gosh.
the yes, so you're on the sled for a while, and then they give you time to, like, pet the dogs, and then they do the thing when you're inside, and I think, they bring you inside so you can warm up, and you can have some berry juice, and they let the kids try to harness the stuffed animal husky and stuff like that.
Cute.
So the whole time you're at this husky place where Santa keeps his dogs is quite a while. So it is fun. It's not rushed. You're just able everybody's able to try everything, and you can, use the bathroom if you need to and all that kind of stuff. So it is a it's a fun time. So
Awesome. So I just pulled up a photo that you had sent me that is probably my favorite photo you sent me because it is the most magical winter wonderland ever. Like I said, snow everywhere, trees dripping in snow, thick snow. And then there's like this wooden path and wooden little bridge that's covered in Christmas lights. This looks so magical. So is this the path you were on with the Huskies?
yeah, so that's all on this Husky property. And I mean, there's fairy lights everywhere, there's lanterns hanging, and it is never brighter than this. Like, this
Wow.
is the most daylight you get that time of year in Finland. And so, those lights, I mean, the way they make the snow sparkle, and they have all these cute bridges and all these things that you walk over and go under, and everything's just lit up beautifully. It's honestly, it's the most magical place.
Yes, I love it. I didn't know Santa was such a dog lover. So that's really fun to
Yes.
find out.
Yes.
Okay, so you finish up at the Husky farm and get your fix of loving on some dogs, and then where are you off to next?
So next you go and you play like games. So the elves are all there. So you go to you get back on the bus and you go to a different property and that Santa owns, and it's just down the road. So it's just like away from the dogs a little bit. And then you go sledding, and the elves have all these games. Yes, like you have all these games that they play with you.
What's
Um,
happening in this picture? It looks like a wagon.
so they're pulling you on snowmobiles, and that is Tricky Dicky. That elf right there, he was pulling tricks the entire time. He was so silly.
Okay, so I
I
have a
mean,
photo of the kids with an elf that has a huge yellow pointy hat on, and he's sticking his tongue out and looking very silly.
yes, he was always super cheeky, up to no good. I mean, he was the best. And so they pull you through the forest on these sleds, and you're basically very, very close at this point to Santa's workshop. And so, but before then, you're playing games with the elves. They just have so many fun games. You get to go snowmobiling on your own. On that same area property. So they have the adults snowmobiling, and then they have a section where the kids went snowmobiling. They let the adults have a turn, and they take the kids so you don't have to not participate. So, like, they're like, adults, no, you need to have fun too. So get on this
Fun.
sled and go enjoy. They
And so
have
then do the
games.
elves take the kids on the snowmobiles?
Yep,
Or
the
oh
elves
my
are on the
gosh, that's
snowmobiles with
so
the
fun.
kids. Yep, and then some other workers who aren't elves, just local people working and helping the elves, and they're getting the kids on the snowmobiles, and they have little kids snowmobiles, so the kids can drive their own snowmobiles in another section. So they're doing that. They have like a little craft area time that they were in these little like proper teepee, like Indian teepee kind of things, and they're all warm, and they have sections. They have like a drink one, and then they have one with a fire just to get warm. And so you're just on this property for a few hours, and you go through these magical hikes in the woods that are just decked, like dotted with these fairy lanterns all lit up throughout the woods. Just so pretty. And then they bring you inside this house, and they had the warm berry juice again, and it was just great because you got a chance to get out of the very cold, and they had a fire roaring, and it was just some drawing things for the kids, and the elves would come around, and they had little snacks for the kids. It's just like a bunch of us in this one room, and you're just kind of chatting with the elves and stuff like that. And all of a sudden this elf called my kids and us, and they were like, come on over, we want to show you something. You get to go see Santa's mailroom. And they walk you through this magical pathway, and you go into Santa's mailroom, and all the letters from all the kids all over the world are everywhere. I mean, they are, yes, that is it. That is like his mailroom. And they couldn't find Emily and Charlie's letter that they had sent to Santa. And so we were in this room searching and searching and searching to see if we could find our own letters.
Is that part
Until,
of the tour experience? Do you send
uh-huh.
a letter in
Yeah.
advance? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Yep. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So you send a letter in advance if you want to. And yeah, and then you Are and, like, they didn't know where they found that, they didn't know where they had placed
So
R2,
for
so,
listeners, I pulled up a photo of which child is this?
that is Emily.
Okay, so Emily is full still in her snow gear, top to bottom, hat and everything, and we're in like a mail room that has letters everywhere up on the walls. There's tons of them. So it looks like they're searching for theirs.
Yes, and working really hard. And there's elves in there helping to find yours. And then all of a sudden, another elf comes from behind this door, and they're like, "We found them." And um, it was so great. And she was like, "And Santa wants to see you." And so they led us through this back, like, and we're in his house basically now. And they led us through these hallways down in his house into this room, and Santa Claus is sitting there on a chair in his living room and waiting for my children. And he was so kind, and actually those gifts that you see my children holding, if you're looking at the picture, were the things at the top of their Christmas list. So somehow he picked out the top thing on both of their lists that year, and he had them there for them, so they had Christmas before Christmas Day actually even happened. So that was really magical that he picked the most special gifts on their list that year, and he had them in person for them to open.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
pretty special. I have so many questions, but I'm just gonna
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And so they were so excited. And so we spent some time with Santa Claus, just us, like him and his house and, his elves. And it was so cozy in his home. And it was
And was it
just,
just you guys right now? It's like a private moment
yeah.
experience?
Yeah. Just the five of us, Santa, my husband, and the kids. Yep.
And
Yep.
do they take photos for you as well that you can then purchase, or do you need to get all the photos yourself?
You get all the photos yourself. Yep.
Okay, well, that's kinda nice that they're not, like, charging you extra for it.
Yeah, yeah, and so you can, and they're doing it for, like, you just hand them your phones and they're like, "We'll take whatever you want." So, yeah,
Oh,
so that is
how
us.
fun.
Yeah, that's his actual house, and he spent so much time with us for all the busyness of December and all the kids he had to see and all the kids we were just with ourselves, and all the malls he goes to throughout the world, and he took so much time with us. So we were very, very excited to be able to spend some time with him in his proper home in, the North Pole. I don't think I took even a picture of the outside of it because before I knew it, we were, like, inside, and I didn't really know what was happening, and they made a big surprise of it. That it was actually like it all looks so magical. So it could all be his home, and you're just like not sure where you're at and what building is what and everything. So by the time we knew what was happening, we were already inside and everything was going so quickly. So you're just like in this like, oh my God, oh, this is crazy magical. So it was fun.
That's fun how you kind of don't know exactly what's happening and it all just kind of, like, happens naturally, and so
Yes.
even, as adults and parents, you're kind of like, "Oh my gosh, this is so fun and magical."
So fun, so magical, and you don't have to plan it. I'm such a planner, and, like, if you like, it's the opposite of Disney World where you're like, "It's 10:30, we need to go, we have a booking, we gotta," this is, like, all taken care of. The only thing is getting on the bus in the morning and getting on the bus after dinner to make sure you can go to your apartment, but other than that, it's like, you just go with the flow, so it is very nice, and you
Yeah.
don't have to find things. You're not, like, driving a rental trying to, like, find addresses and stuff like that, so, yeah, it was really nice.
Well, and like you said, you needed a good sleep that night before because so far you have gotten up, gone to breakfast, played with dogs, dog sledded, played with elves, sledded, snowmobiled, met Santa. Like you've done a
Yes.
lot today.
Yep, yep, and then they bring you back to that home you just showed, that was at the outside of the Husky farm, and
Okay,
that
I'm
was
going to
where the
share that
missing
really
one.
quick because it's cute. So they bring you back here.
Yep, so you go back there and you have lunch,
Okay,
and
nice. There's a
it's
cute
like a
little cabin photo I'm sharing that's just got, like you said, there's like Christmas lights everywhere, twinkle lights everywhere, fairy lights, greenery, Christmas wreaths. So, okay, tell us about this.
you walk in and there's a little gift shop that if you wanna buy some stuffed animal huskies and some souvenirs, you can, but the most part is for lunch, and so you go into this big room and they have just big picnic tables, like, very beautiful, beautiful. And when I say picnic tables, it sounds like not very nice, but it is like, rustic, beautiful stuff. And they have local Finnish, almost like a chili, and it was so delicious, some sort of a stew. And then they had like sandwiches and they had pasta and the
Wow.
berry juice again. So I don't think I would say I experienced like Finnish cuisine on this trip, except for that one like chili based thing, because I think they more geared it just towards like making sure children would enjoy the food. But you know, if you were on your own, you might go to some more locally restaurants to get more Finnish cuisine. But this was fine. You know, we were there to see Santa, and it worked. So, but the stew was amazing, and it warmed you right up. And they had a fire going, and it was just help yourself to everything. So you were just, you know, it was super casual. And you have to remember, you're in your gear all day. So you're just
Yeah.
like this bulky, like, you know, snowman walking around, and it's heavy, and you're exhausted, and you're like starving.
Yeah.
So, and then after lunch, they bring you through this beautiful walk. It was the most magical walk. Like the snow is just sparkling, and there's fairy lanterns everywhere. And you're on this magical, magical walk through the forest. I
And I can
mean,
like
that,
even feel the crisp air and like
yes,
that crunching sound of the
yes,
snow and like you're outside and you just feel, even though it's so cold, this is how I like feel on a ski trip. It's so refreshing to be
yes,
outside in the snow, especially if you're dressed properly, just kind of like
yes.
brings you to life.
Oh, so much. And they did have fires outside, like spaced out. So if you were freezing and you needed a bit of warmth, you could just stand by one for a minute. But it almost made it worse because then you didn't want to leave the fire,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was that activity. And then you get back on the bus after the walk, and you go to, but by now it's like dark again because it doesn't last very long, the light this time of year. Um, so you go to where he keeps his reindeer, and I have never seen so many reindeer in my life. And there's the main reindeer that he uses, but he has a ton of reindeer. I mean, acres, and they're just everywhere. And they open this gate, and it's pitch black, and the only advice they gave you was, if you have little children, keep your hand in front of their face at all times, because the height of the kids' eyeballs with the reindeer horns, they wouldn't purposely hurt you, but if they just walked up to you, they could poke you in the face.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, they were just loose. They were just in this big acreage with just hundreds of reindeer, and they're giving you food, and you're feeding the reindeer, and they're coming up to you. And it was crazy. It was the most magical thing. And you know, all the main guys are in there as well. And then they bring you on the reindeer sleigh ride, and it is dark, it is magical, it is sparkly, and you have reindeer husk, like the skin that they've turned into blankets. And that's on you. It's some of the warmest material in the world. They have those as blankets, and you're all cuddled into your sleigh, and you're not doing anything. The reindeer just follow the one in front. And there is a tour guide in the very front. So it's just a big line of reindeer sled, reindeer sled, reindeer sled. And you are in the forest. I mean, the dark, dark forest for a while on these guys. And they're and the ones behind you, they're always like getting their heads kind of next to you. So you have to like watch
Watch
out
out for
from,
antlers.
yes, you're kind of ducking the whole time, but they're just the sweetest. And yeah, and they're, like I said, their hides are some of the warmest material in the world. So um they you had those blankets to warm up and all the stuff, and then at the end of this very magical reindeer ride, you go into this building where they actually were selling blankets made of reindeer,
Oh,
which were
wow.
very pricey, as I'm sure anyone can guess, but they were like, you know, we'll ship them home so you
I
don't
was going
have
to
to.
say it's also hard to transport home.
Yep, no, they were happy to ship it for a cost,
Did you
but
guys get one?
we did not.
Yeah.
No, it was like
Yeah.
$400 or $500 for one
Yeah.
of these things, and we
Yeah.
were like, "They're
And you have
beautiful."
kids and a dog. You're like, this
Yes.
isn't gonna stay in as pristine condition as it
Right.
should.
Right. And I'm like, where are we gonna even put it? Like, I
Yeah.
don't, you know. So we let them get some stuffed animals and a keychain. We called it a day. But yeah, and then they take you back in your bus. You get back in the
Hold on. I have a
bus.
reindeer
Uh,
question.
Sure.
Did did they tell you any of the reindeer's names?
There were a few of the Comet, I believe, was with us, and Cupid, I think they said, if I can remember correctly. The other ones were not there. They were resting a lot of the main guys for the big night since it was coming up soon.
Okay,
So a
so
lot of
some of the main ones were there. That's
yes,
cool.
yes,
Comet and Cupid.
yes.
Wow.
Oh,
Super fun.
it was amazing. I don't know how they tell them apart, though. I mean, hundreds of these reindeer are in this field, and It's,
Wow.
yeah, and Santa has a man working for him there who kinda, like, takes over and just takes care of all of them and lives on property where they are, and that's his main job is just to manage these reindeer. So, the life of living in Finland is just
Yes.
so
You
crazy.
too can take care of Santa's reindeers.
Yeah. So then you get back on the bus and they bring you to that restaurant again at the hotel for some dinner. And then after dinner, you have to get back on the bus at a certain time. And they're pretty strict about that bus schedule. Like if you're not on the bus, you're trying to figure out your own taxi, and
Oh,
you don't
so
even
like
know.
they'll leave you.
They will. Yeah. Yep. And they don't even know, like, you don't even know the address of where you're staying because it's literally all chartered and just done for you. So, like, I wouldn't even know of where to get, like, to tell a taxi to bring me.
Yeah, it's
So
like a
that,
train or a cruise ship, like, you just have to get back on. Okay, so here's your, dinner. I've got a picture of
yes.
them at their table, and there is again an elf sitting at your table. So these elves are kind of with you and throughout the
Uh-huh.
experience from
Yep.
start to finish.
Yep, they are everywhere. I mean, they pop up left and right. They are fully involved in the experience. And this is the celebration dinner. So we saw Santa. So everyone was so excited. And this was a party dinner. We were probably at this dinner for 4 hours. I mean, it was blessed. They had the kids dancing around the building. All the elves kind of organized this dance line, and they had the longest line of children weaving in and out of the tables and doing this dance and doing the song again
I was
that
gonna say, did they sing the song that you guys
they
were forced to
did.
memorize? Okay.
Yes, and the elves were circulating, and it was just like help yourself to the buffet as much as you wanted, and the parents were able to have some drinks, and the
Yeah,
kids
I can
would
see that you guys are
buffet.
having some drinks, which looks fun. Were
Yes.
those included?
Yes, I think it was a 1 or 2 per thing, so
Okay,
and if you wanted more, you had to pay, but I think
got
the
it.
minimum, yeah, they have was
Okay,
like a per
cool.
person thing. And then they gave you a certificate and you got a book, yeah, it was just this was the party, like, you made it throughout the day, celebration, and I wish I can remember that song. Oh my goodness, like, that's gonna bother me now. So then after dinner, you get back on the bus, and that bus, they had 2 or 3 buses because the party went for hours, so if you were kinda partied out, you could get on a bus. It was, like, 4 scheduled times, so you went back to your room. The whole staff was amazing. It was just everybody cared for each other, was watching out for each other, and by now you really know the people you went with. Like, so you get back on the bus, you go back, you go to bed, and then the next day you get dressed up again, you go to breakfast, and this day is just a final day of just general fun. So they bring you to that same hotel that you've shown the picture for. You eat your breakfast there. They have a sledding hill. And so you just are tobogganing for probably an hour and a half and just having the time of your life flying down this mountain. Just so much fun. This is like the last hurrah. And you just get to kind of have good old fashioned, sledding fun for a little while. Get out the wiggles, get ready to, departure, go home. And then they bring you to a small little village within the Ruka Valley, and it has some gift shops. And they let you have like an hour to just kind of roam, experience some local shops, buy souvenirs. I mean, they had everything there too: coffee mugs, keychains, the typical souvenir shops, sweatshirts, reindeer hide blankets. Again, whatever you wanted. And then they served you lunch. And at the beginning of lunch, you had to go behind this like changing room and take off all your snow gear that they had given to you.
Before we take off our snow gear, when did you go snowshoeing? Because I saw this photo that you
Oh,
sent and I was like, oh, this
yes.
looks super fun too. And like the
That
trees are amazing in this photo.
yes, that was so that was the magical hike. So you could wear snowshoes if you chose to do so. So that was while the elves were playing games. That was after the Husky ride and before the reindeer ride. And
Okay, so you
before
all chose to wear snow. I've actually never snowshoed. Is it hard?
Oh, it is hard. It's going uphill is hard. Going downhill is like so much better.
Okay.
um, but yeah, it was that was part of it. And it was just through the forest and
This
oh
photo is
my goodness.
amazing, you guys. It is. I keep talking about the heavy snow on the trees, but it's just like there's so much snow on the trees. They're almost white. This is
Yeah.
a really cute family photo. I love this one.
Oh, thank you. And that was in the peak of daylight, but that was like 11 in the
That's like the
morning.
only lighting you could get was this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. And it's funny because some of the other people on the tour, they did it the opposite. So there weren't too many people in the same spot at the same time. So, like,
Got it.
some people did the reindeer first, we did the reindeer last. And
They're
you
moving
kind
people
of,
around in different yeah.
yes. Yeah. And you kind of think to yourself, like, what would you have preferred? Seeing the reindeer in light in the big, 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 like, reindeer pen, as if I lack of a better way to put it, would have been kind of nice because you could have actually appreciated how many reindeer. We were in the pitch black by the time we got there. So,
Yeah.
but the huskies and the light were fun too. So I think it worked out perfectly for the way they had it. Either way, I think it's fine. But
Yeah.
I think we got lucky with the route they had us do it. So,
So you're back now, taking off all the snow gear. It probably
yep.
is a little bittersweet because you're sad it's over, but you're also like, it's going to be nice to not live in the snow gear for a day or two.
So nice to not live in the snow year. And it's almost like claustrophobic a little bit because you can't really go outside because it's so cold unless you put on all this gear. And then it's heavy and awkward. And, if your kid's crying, the last thing you want to do is carry a kid when
And it's
you're
like
already,
slippery. The two
yes,
materials next to each other are like slippery in that snow gear.
yes. Yes. And so you're just like, oh my God, we made it through this trip and it's so cold and it's so dark all the time. You just need like a change. You're like, okay, this is going to be good. So so yeah, so they're like, take off all your snow gear, and they gave you like big, big, giant like cinch sacks. So you put all your family's gear that they've given you into the cinch sack, and then you hand it back over. And so you're just basically in whatever you came in. So we all wore snow boots on the plane because we knew that would be all we would need anyway. It's not a place where you would dress fancy for dinner and this for that, so you just needed snow boots. So
Yeah.
that was
Your
easy.
foot would freeze off if you wore a regular shoe.
Yes, your jacket that you came in, and so that's all you're left with. And you eat lunch, and the elves are coming around again, saying goodbye. They're doing that last song one more time, and everyone's just kind of enjoying like this last meal together. And then you get back on the bus and they bring you back to the airport and you fly in the same seat you sat in on the way there. So you're sitting next to the same people. I would say, the plane again has all the red lights and it's very decorated and decked out for Christmas. And this flight is a little less fun
Yeah.
because everyone's tired, kids are crying,
Yeah.
families are mad at each other. So
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like the longest 2 hour
I'm
flight
sure the
back to
like
the
people who
UK.
work on that plane and the pilots, like it's so funny because like the way there, it's like, woo, and the way back, they're just
Yes,
like managing everybody's
yes,
like moods.
yes. It was, and my husband and my kids were sitting together, and I was across the aisle with this other family who were fighting the whole way home, and I was just like, okay, like this is going to be a long 2 hours.
You're like the Christmas magic will stay alive.
Yes.
What time of December was this in relation to like Christmas?
This had to have been, I think, on like the 11th or the 12th. It was
Okay,
like
so
we
you're
were
like
getting.
mid-December on this trip.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I think the kid in front of my husband like spilt his entire water on the floor. And then the other kid in front of my son kept turning around and like pulling and like reaching into my
Yeah.
son's area. And it was like, this is proper plane etiquette. Like, this is my section. You need to tell your kid, like, we don't need you in our
Yeah.
face.
We're like, we enjoyed getting to know all of you, and now we would like some separation space.
Yes, yes. It was funny because we landed and families are just all done. And we were all trying to get off the plane and like through the Gatwick airport. And as you're coming off like the little plane, the jetway, and then through the doors, there was a big glass wall next to the door, and you're all filing in to get through the door. And this family was just walking so fast, and their little 3-year-old was like trying to keep up and slammed right into the glass wall and like fell backwards. And like everyone by now was just like, even the parents were like, oh my God, just,
Seriously.
so it was funny. We were
Uh,
happy to be back in the UK where it was a little less cold, a little bit more familiar.
a little bit more daylight.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, barely. But, and so then you're home again. And it's insane. Like, this trip is it's unbelievable.
So magical. I feel like you guys were probably processing it for a couple days, like almost like it was like a
Oh,
dream.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you hear about Santa and his home and his toy shop and his all the things. And you kinda have, like, a vision of what it would look like, but it's so much better actually in person, yeah.
Yeah, so cool. So on the way home, did you also spend a night or 2 in London, or were you, like, hauling all the way home at this point?
No, we went back to London, and just kinda hung out for a few days with some friends that Americans that were expats, so we just stayed with them for a few days,
Perfect.
and
You get to stay in, like, an actual home
yes,
and kind of regroup after this
yes.
fun, but probably slightly exhausting, journey.
Yeah, my kids were very privileged to be able to go to one of the best, American international schools in England, and so our friends' little boys still went there, and so we followed them to school one day, and we got there, and they have, Father Christmas in the Larchmont, and it happened to be that day, and so the Larchmont is the name of the woods, on campus from our old school, and so my kid, yeah, both of them got to follow the classes into the Larchmont and got to see Father Christmas. And their old music teacher was there and he plays
Oh,
the guitar. And then Father Christmas comes out and hangs out with the children and stuff. And he actually, he looks up and he's playing the guitar and he sees my kids and he remembers my kids from when they were
oh.
students and he called them out, by name. And another teacher saw Emily and she was like, "Oh my goodness." She was like, "Have you met, have you run into your friends who are still in England?" And Emily was like, "No, not yet." And she's like, the teacher looks at me and she's like, "Okay, I'm taking Emily till the end of the day. She's
Oh,
coming with me." And I was
I
like,
just got
"Okay."
chills.
Yep. And then the school teacher who Charlie's friends were with, they knew everyone knew it's a very small school. There was maybe 40 kids per grade. So like everyone knows everyone. And that teacher was like, "Okay, yeah, we're taking Charlie. Charlie's going to be with our class." So both my kids, it was
Went to
almost like they were
school.
back in school, and I was just there hanging out, like, talking with the teachers and old friends that were moms, because parents could come for this kind of a day, and so I just got to hang out for as long as we want. Oh, the one teacher was like, "Your daughter will be at pickup, normal pickup at the end of the day." I'm like, "Okay." So
Oh, that's
my
so
kids were
special
gone.
for them.
Yep, and it was just like being home, and we really miss the UK. That it still feels so much like home to us. Even though we're all American, the UK still feels more like home in some ways, and,
Yeah,
so it was nice to be back, and they took them like they were still there, and then I took my kids and my friends' kids back home for the day, and we spent probably another 2 days or 3 days in the UK before we flew home.
nice.
So, yeah.
What does your husband do that had you guys over there?
He worked at the time for a British pharmaceutical company.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's so awesome that you guys had that experience and that you got to reconnect with your friends and the school. I love that. It's like the
Yes.
magic just keeps continuing. This is just like a magical trip.
It does. It was the best, honestly, one of the most memorable trips. I mean, you take so many trips as a family and they're all beautiful in their own way, but this was just extra special because it's young ones and Christmas is not, you can't beat it. So,
Yeah. And so then going home, was that smooth enough once it finally came time to head back to America?
yep, just got back on the plane and flew to Cleveland, and then it was right before Christmas, so it was gearing up to have Father Christmas come visit us that next time. So, and so it's really fun.
Super cool. That is such amazing memories. I'm loving all of this.
Yeah, it was definitely once, you do all these things around Christmas time, like little Polar Express rides, or you get pictures with Santa at the mall or whatever. And I was laughing to myself because I was like, you can't beat that leading up to Christmas time. You drive and you see Christmas lights or whatever your family's traditions are. I'm like, this one was a year to not be beat. I don't think we can replace it or do that again. So
Exactly. Okay, Amy, I'm going to end this episode the way I end every episode, which is if someone out there is considering a trip like this, what is it about Lapland, Finland in December that would make you say, just book it?
absolutely. I mean, I don't know. It's Christmas and little ones. The magic of Christmas when you have little ones is just, I think, something we can all agree is just unbelievable. And this is a once in a lifetime experience. And to do it when you have littles, when the magic is so, right there and they're so excited about it. It's definitely a once in a lifetime trip that no one will ever forget. And so if you can do it, it's definitely worth pulling it off for
Yeah,
sure.
they're definitely going to remember this forever and tell their kids about it. That's so cool.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing this magical fairy tale Christmas story.
Yes.
And to all of you listening, thanks for tuning in. As always, you can follow along on Instagram at Kelsey_Graves if you'd like to see real-time travel and trips. All right, I'll see you guys all on the next episode of Trip Tales.